And Mario Kart Central is live with a brand new edition of the 2026 World Cup for Mario Kart World. We are excited to be presenting the match up between Venezuela and Peru in Group W of the Mario Kart World Cup, alongside with Nathaniel and our wonderful stream host Astro. My name is Travis S1, welcoming you back to the big stage. Nathaniel, how are you?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How are we all doing? I'm grand. We're watching a good match. We're pretty much watching the match that decides whoever gets first and whoever gets second in this group. Peru currently 2-0 in Group W. They just won their match versus Gran Colombia. Venezuela, I believe they're just 1-0 at the moment. However, very strong team about them. Probably the two strongest in this group, if you were to ask me. And I'm excited. I'm very, very excited. We've got some stacked lineups. We've got some cracked players. It's going to be a good match, boys. It's going to be a good match.
Absolutely. We've got an exciting one for you today. And just like you said, Nat, we now have Peru being up, I believe, 2-0 with the win over Gran Colombia just recently. Venezuela has only played one match. That was a win over the Dominican Republic. So we'll see both of these two teams facing off right now undefeated. One of them is going to have to take that loss today. But strong teams for each. Let's go ahead and go to our lineups, starting off with good old Team Venezuela.
Yeah, look at that lineup. It's strong. Very, very strong.
Absolutely. The lineup today consists of Aaron's, we have Cosium, Fuse, make sure I get some pronunciations correctly, Crips, Suka, and Santi Pajas, if I'm pronouncing their name correctly. And a number of subs on the list down there. Cosium, of course, the team captain of this team, and a well-known, recognized Mario Kart World staff member. Shout out to them. A really good stacked lineup for Team Venezuela today.
Yeah, absolutely. Santi Pajas being their strongest player in lineup and just overall in the team. He is currently Ruby in Lounge, also playing in D1 for Rosando La Catástrofe. But that's not to underestimate the other players in their lineup today as well. Crips, gold player, currently on Code Genius. They're in the higher ends of mid-div. He's been putting in a good shift for them. Who else we got? Cursium as well, more renowned as a knockout tour main. However, the skills are very transferable with item player, also on Solar Storm. Very strong team there. Fuse, Rosando, La Catastrophe, Exodus. Baroness is on Capybara Skies and I'm not too sure about Suka. However, a lot of this team has some pretty strong chemistry. They've been doing well. A lot of strong individual skill as well. Going to be a case of whether they can gel it all together and get the dub against Peru, which we can take a look at their lineup now, if possible. Yeah, there we go. Dansoon, Francis, Juan P, Catuso, Piehat, and Splendy. Splendy with the POV today. Another strong lineup. Dansoon, currently silver in Lounge. Looking at Francis from RK Lobos. Splendy, Sapphire in Lounge. Also on RK1s. There's a big RK clash in this match. Piehat, Starstruck 2, pretty much one of their star members, and Catuso also on RK. A lot of RK players on both teams, back and forth, so we're going to see some very interesting rivalry, both language-wise, both nation-wise, and just team-wise as well, for the fact that a lot of these players have played with each other just in regular team matches. Now they're going up against each other on the big stage with Shaggy Bazaar as the first race of the war.
Absolutely, and as we were just getting into it, a little bit of history for Team Peru that you saw there on that first screen. this is their, at least in their last 3 World Cup matches, which were all, of course, in 8DX, finishing 18th in 2019, 22nd in 2021, and 21st in 2023, looking to maybe get a higher score or higher placement as a result this season, getting right into, of course, Shy Guy Bazaar, having the point of view at the moment, just kind of watching for early kind of attacks and plays, and we're going to see a lot of different perspectives of how these teams are going to tackle their tracks and kind of what those tracks really are for each of these teams. On our screen right now, we can see Cosium with an absolute great start here. 2 Shrooms up into second now, looking like they just got passed over with the turn skip. It's certainly going to be a race where I feel like Bazaar oftentimes leads to major front runs, but you have to be careful of the shock typically right around here on lap 3, Nat.
Yeah, absolutely. Cosium, Venezuela on the red team, Peru on the blue team, just for you guys to keep up with the mini-map. Unfortunate horn for Cosium, is able to get back on the top path, opting not to go for the turn skip, but doesn't even need it, stays in first place. Potential of shock, the back does look a little bit skewed. It could just be shockless. Venezuela could be holding it. There's a lot of them back there. They're gonna go wait on the call of Cosium if they do have it. Maybe try and get everybody after set. But no, Cosium's just holding his double defense, making sure he holds down the front line, as we do see a lot of Peru players back there. And there's the shock. Peru players managing to dodge. Splendy ending up all the way from 4th, was pretty much in the bottom half for the vast majority of that race. And that's a really strong start for Peru. 2 through 5. Couple bottom spots, but a plus 10 to start them off. A lot of it came down to that shock. A couple of the Peru players able to catch up. However, it was really just Cosium in the front for Venezuela that race. So brilliant on him being able to hold down the front run. Means that Venezuela do have an advantage in the fact with the new updated item system where you can pull triple shrooms in first, that he could get the potential for a breakaway on the next race. However, Peru can definitely capitalize on the fact that they can pull triple greens, very strong items like reds in the front, as well as we do see Mario Bros. Circuit come out from Peru. Salty Speedway come out from Venezuela. Going to be interesting to see which track this goes. And it's looking to be Mario Bros. Circuit. Mario Bros. Circuit, typically good for your mid spots, for your 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to be interesting though to see what Cosium does, whether he decides to go for the item set or whether he tries to open the cut for his teammates in the back to see if they can get an early lead. A lot of strategy that can go on in this match. However, 2, 3, 4 from Peru, going to try and take this Nisk. Let's see if anybody of them achieve it.
Absolutely, we can see now Cosium going for the item set, maybe playing for that strong item in the beginning. They get triple greens and immediately ghosted. That is the definition of the new update if I've ever seen it. Doesn't take long to get a ghost right in the front now, but strong pull right after with a triple shrooms and a feather. Probably going to go for a cut here. Venezuela up here top 2, kind of keeping an eye on their perspective as well. Cosium's going to go for the cut, take over first. Probably go for this other cut here as well. And
open it for his teammates behind him as well. Means that they don't have to take it in the back. But yeah, that second set on Mario Bros. Circuit within the 20-second range of when you can still pull triple shrooms, feather, all the nonsense in first. And Venezuela just holding down a top 2 run at the moment. They seem to be broken away. Top 3 break. We have Splendy here in the mid pack holding a ghost. Venezuela is in last. They could just be holding the shock. Maybe going to try and TS all of Peru right here if they have it, which they do. Catching Cosium on the glider alongside the other mate that is up with him. That top two is now going to have a stupendous breakaway. That's pretty much locked in for the rest of the race. It's just going to be a case of whether they can hold down 3-4, as well as Splendy does pull triple greens. Not really the item you want. You kind of want your triple reds or just some items to catch up. But as we enter the finals, pretty much second to last set and the last turns, it's looking to be a great race for Venezuela.
Absolutely, and Shock kind of being unfortunate from Splendy, as you can see from that point of view, having a Ghost and then a Golden just missing out on the dodge. They're going to get bumped off of the rail, going to go for this cut right here, looking to salvage any spots possible, but it's looking very strong, of course, for Venezuela on this race here. That's going to be a top 3 for Venezuela, and then 4, 5, 6 following for Peru. Now, I think it's a good time to talk a little bit about track selection in this game. It is quite unique compared to past iterations of Mario Kart games. It's very team dependent on what teams really feel strong with in various spots. Of course, we know of different kinds of runners and baggers and other kinds of tracks that you normally pick in specific spots. However, some teams find tracks in different ways in this game. So, for example, a team might see like a track like Boo Cinema to be a runner versus a drafter. It is all dependent on kind of what the team's full skill sets are. And we'll see that mostly from both of these teams throughout, kind of what those skill sets feel best for them on.
Yeah, for sure. However, there are still like some tracks that are just very common for specific spots. Sky High Sunday, one of pretty much seeing both of them. Whistle Stop Summit better for 4, 5, 6. You're able to go onto the rail to the left at the start. Sky High Sunday better for top 3. Going to gamble on those shrooms. And if you do get those shrooms at the start, very easy front run if you are able to hold on to it. However, we are on Whistle Stop Summit. Some would argue the most technical track in the game with its driving techniques. A lot of the Peru players in the middle and the back able to capitalize on the fact that they are able to take this opening rail. However, it's still pretty good for Venezuela as we see Kosium pulling triple shrooms. A little bit of driving error, but that is okay as they were able to make the second set. Opts to go around? No, going for the single shroom gap jump. Unfortunately fails, is now going to end up in the back, probably going to be going for the shock, whereas Splendy was able to make the gap cut, now has triple shrooms in second, just going to be able to run this entire race if the items let him, and he does get ghosted. Oh, so unfortunate, so unbelievably unfortunate, but that is just the way things go in this game. Splendy's just going to do his best to hold on to first place at the moment, as we do see a lot of Venezuela trailing behind him. Now it's just going to be a case for Kosium whether he is able to pull shock or whether Venezuela is able to pull shock and try and counteract some of the damage. No! Not Splendy failing the gap cut. Now, this race has been very swingy. It's gone from Venezuela in the front to Peru in the front, back to Venezuela, and now Peru in the front again as they look to be 1-3. But Splendy's still staying up there in 4th, so this last lap is going to have a lot on the table to offer.
Something to pay attention to is that the red team on your mini map here just ended up getting the bottom 2 set in the previous one. So if anything, there could be a shock in play, and it would probably be by them. Keeping that perspective very much there. Venezuela, potentially, if we're going to use it, it's going to be soon, but possibly not in play. And it's been an unfortunate match for the gap jump right there. Watching a couple people miss the charge jump or completing that. However, the swing race looks like it is going to go into favor for Venezuela. That's at least a first. A second going to be right behind there as well. Going to just continue capitalizing on that lead that they already have established.
For sure. Let's see the results. Oh, very strong race for Venezuela. Top 2, 4, 5, 7 last. Breaking away from what Peru started. Peru looked to be on the forefront. Now it's Venezuela just taking all the shots that they can get. We do see the character switch from Baby Peach to Swoop. They have the same stats. Maybe he's just hoping Swoop has a little bit more aura to carry him. Who knows? However, just unfortunate with the gap jump once again. If you're not able to successfully do that 3-for-3 when in a front spot, it really does hurt your team's chances of being able to hold down the front. However, I know that track can be very war dependent. Sometimes you can drive your absolute best on it. Other times you're having the worst war of your life. That's how this game goes, honestly. There are days where you feel like you're on top of the world with some tracks. Other days where you stink up the bed, and it is okay because we have plenty more races left in this war where Peru can turn the tides. Going to Mario Circuit, funny track this one. This one used to be your bag, you pull triple shrooms and stars, and then you run it up. Maybe there's a shock. Now you just run and see if you can high roll triple shrooms within the first 3 sets. So, whole lot of gambling with this one. Welcome to Vegas. Welcome to Vegas.
As we begin Vegas circuit here, we'll definitely get that perspective to see which teams are going to get what. And Splendy right away with the triple shrooms, just chaining it, and there they go with 4 shrooms right out the gate. They are going to just take this and probably run to the bank with it. A lot of probably heavy front run opportunities right here. Still though, can be a track where a lot can happen in a quick period of time. This track has led to many crazy races ending on the track because of the late shock. But got great defense up and one here for Splendy, and just taking a look at the perspective of Venezuela, you could see Cosium in the back. If we could get this perspective here, just making their push up very quickly. They kind of bagged for a little bit, hoping to pull something good, had a golden into this mega, going to probably push this next golden here, and the horn that's unfortunate, that's going to hit them out almost to the line. That horn actually completely ruined any chances for Cosium to gain some more spots. Just kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time there, Nat.
Yeah, but Peru, that's an interesting race. 2, 4, 5, 6 from Peru. However, Venezuela still getting 1, 3. I'm no mathematician, so I don't know how well that is for both teams. However, that's a very close race. So not really the reset in tempo that Peru was looking for with that pick. I think a lot of that came down to the blue shell, unfortunately. We saw it before switching to Cosium's POV. Splendy having a phenomenal front run, having the correct items as well. The triple defense, really, really nice. Just unfortunate that they had nothing to deal with the blue shell, meaning they couldn't hold onto first. So Peru's going to have to try and find a workaround for what is pretty much one of the bigger resets in this game, as they are deliberating over tracks. Can confirm that Venezuela is locked in on Sky High Sunday. I don't blame them. 1-3 is good enough for that track, and if First is able to get the triple shrooms pull, maybe even a ghost, they can run away with it. Peru going for Great Question Block Ruins, but I won't talk about it because we're going Sky High Sunday, as I was already yabbering on about. Thank God. Makes life a little bit easier for me. As I was saying, 1-3, great spots for Venezuela on this track. However, the bottom spots can do some work as well if they are able to get the early push up, or if they do play for shock. Shock can be quite powerful on this track. It can deny people from taking cuts. It can allow people to take one of the most broken bill spots in the game in the final turn. Just jump off the track, activate the bill just before you fall out of bounds, shoot yourself up from like last place to 4th. But a lot of this is going to depend on the opening, as we do see Splendy with the shroom. His mate behind him doesn't seem to have trailed him, but I think he was gambling on more shrooms. Now in the back in 10th place, both POVs actually in the back. However, Shock isn't pullable until right around now, entering this last set. So looking like Splendy is going to try and go for Shock. Actually, no, he has one mate back there with him. He might just try and run up this Golden and Mega. Whereas if we look at Cosium, honestly, very good items for if Cosium wants to catch up. Golden Bill, very, very effective on this track, as it looks to be a good bit of Venezuela in the front spots. 1-3 You can believe a good bit of Venezuela in the back, though. If Venezuela pull sharp, they have the chance to go early with lap 2 and create a huge scene, especially considering Cosium's pull.
Absolutely, and you're going to see one of the most effective build spots in the game. I think Cosium was actually planning to hold that for a little bit longer. Had to unfortunately use the build due to it being a little low on that cut, but that build spot right there just takes you through the entire side, or the entire inside there, and pushes you pretty much to the line. And Cosium right quickly back into first. There is a blue shell out that was thrown by Splendy. That is going to take them out. They're going to hop off the track in order to avoid getting hit by it. It is looking like there is still Venezuela up in the front, but it's not far behind here for Peru. I think it's a top 2 for Venezuela, and maybe 3, 4, 5 for Peru, just based off of what I saw there. 3, 5 for Peru. So top 2, 4, 6, and Venezuela is just continuing to pile on to their lead. 222 to 188, I believe, after 5. That is quite the deficit for Peru to catch back up, but this game, Nat, is very swingy. It can have a lot of opportunities for that catch-up. Just get the right track at the right time with good item play, pulling that shock and effective communication, and Peru can make the catch-up easily.
Yeah, there's a lot of tracks that they can utilize that on. What they're going to try and do track pick-wise, because Venezuela has just been getting the top spots, will be seen, though. We did see them go for Q-Block. We also saw them go for Whistle Stop as well. Going to be interesting to see where they land on some Q-Blocks, some Desert Hills. I respect the choices for if they're trying to cause some sort of shake-up in the spots in front. As we do go to Great Question Block Ruins now. Great Question Block Ruins was infamous pre the update for the conga line at the start. Everybody wanted those triple shroom stars. Heck, maybe even 6 shrooms. That was viable enough to work as well. However, no more conga line. Nintendo doesn't like the conga. Probably some sort of, I don't know, who knows. Nintendo doesn't like conga lines, so they're forcing everybody to hold the A button. However, it's fine, because if you're still able to pull triple shrooms here, you are able to take one of the early cuts, as we see Splendy do. Good gambling, to be honest. Very good gambling. Take this man to Vegas right now, as he is in first place with 2 shrooms. Very powerful to be able to run the rest of the track. You ideally want to have your shrooms be used for the opening cut, and if you do know this ending Nisk right here with the boxes, which we're not going to see Splendy do, which is fair enough. He may as well build up his lead. He'll take the shroom around. Takes the triple shrooms, but that is fine, as he still has a single shroom in first and is able to break away with a bit of a lead. A little bit of Venezuela behind him, but Splendy honestly in a good seat right now.
Yeah, and looks like they are going to use this shroom instead to dodge the blue while also taking the cut. That's a very good play right there by Splendy to make sure that you're not exactly like losing that lead here at the beginning, but Venezuela right here with Santi having a couple shrooms and a little bit of a much better spot here. Interesting to see what Splendy might actually do with this feather here, as I'm not really familiar with a lot of the feather cuts in this game. There's several real good opportunities throughout many tracks for this for Splendy to use the feather in good spots, but they are also surrounded by a lot of Venezuela. Their teammate luckily behind them, now in front, taking over second place.
Honestly, nightmare pull from Splendy. Feather is like, there's not a lot of places you can use feather. The bill bump off, if he spawns, he gets spawned in front of the item set. That's actually unfortunate. If he got bumped off and was able to spawn behind, he could have honestly pulled himself something better to help him catch up. However, we do see Cosium doesn't make the pole strat, so has to use the bill early to not take the cut. However, might be fine, as he might end up passing 1 or 2 people here that just seems to be his teammates around him. He has the triple shrooms. He's able to confidently hold on to this 8th place. As we look at the minimap, it does look like Santi Pajas was able to hold on to a top spot at least, but that could be a Peru player in first. I'm struggling to see. It is Peru 1-3-4-5. This is what they needed. They needed some swinging momentum. Q Block has allowed it for them. Only a -20 now between both teams. So matches back on the table. It always was on the table, but Peru now able to do something. Whether they're able to capitalize on a runner will yet to be seen. Whether Venezuela is going to be able to redictate the tempo, a lot to be seen, but just kind of unfortunate that neither of our POVs were able to capitalize on getting in the front with their shrooms. Very, very unfortunate that Splendy did have to go a little bit wide to take the blue, kind of just let it be Santi Pajas' rates in the front. However, very good work from Peru to hold it down in the front despite that. So, holy tracks on the board. I don't know what I'm looking at the moment.
And Peru is going to be getting the track that they had voted for, and of course Bowser's Castle here up on the screen now. One of those tracks that is pretty much dignified as a hard runner in this game. There is a lot of shortcuts that we will see players use throughout this entire race from start to finish. Kind of seeing the multiple perspectives right out the gate of how you can take this beginning cut, have the option to go for the rail, which is what Splendy does. You can also start this race by going off of the wall. Unfortunately, not going to hit that sign to get that cut to the
draft messed him up on the rail. It fully came down to the draft. Had to make sure he tricked onto the wall a little bit early. Just unfortunate that he wasn't able to get on. However, despite Splendy not being able to make it, it's not all bad for Peru, as we do see them currently in 1-3 on the minimap. Venezuela trailing behind them, but a lot of people in the back at the moment. We do see, you are going to see on this track, just the pack split like crazy. You're going to have your established front runners, and you're also just going to have your established people in the back as well, because shock can be powerful. There's a lot of target shock spots on this track. You can target shock people from taking this cut. You can target shock people from taking the Beyblade, as I like to call it, which we might see Splendy go for. He's playing very aggressive, top 3 for Peru at the moment, backing all his greens, but Santi Pajas says, no, I'm living this. But we do see Venezuela 4-5. Cosium with a great pull of golden triple shrooms might be able to do some damage in the front, but that Peru top 3 is gone, especially that first. Maybe this golden mushroom and shrooms isn't enough if Peru do have the aggressive items to just take Cosium out immediately.
It does look like Venezuela just took 2-3-4, maybe 2-3, excuse me, and they're gonna have an opportunity to really capitalize on this position here a little bit with taking a couple of these cuts. It's almost like first is completely out of the picture at this moment, as the player that's in the ghost, Pipa. There we go. There we go, Travis. Remembering character names. Is up there in the front with a clear and dictating first, and Venezuela is looking right now to basically negate the past race. It's looking very promising for them. The Triple Reds is going to hold that 3rd place. Splendy right here in 5th, but just
needs to be aggressive with these hammers, but isn't able to get off any hit. The hammers just flying over the Venezuelan players. It's a 1-4 for Peru. However, the 2-3 from Venezuela, and just all the mid spots afterwards. 5, 6, 7. Venezuela pretty much dictating the pace once again. Is 8-9 bottom 2 is not going to cut it in being able to gain any sort of lead, as Venezuela now go up 30 points.
And that is an aspect of confidence, honestly, from Venezuela here. Specifically, realizing that past race, you guys had a good winning race, congrats. We're going to just show we're just going to keep our momentum going and act like it never even happened. And that is honestly how good teams truthfully go out and push themselves to win, is when you get that momentum shift, you still hold on to that momentum. Because if you let the other team start to build and maybe take a good race and then slowly chew away your lead, that's when big leads can quickly become minimized. But in this case, we get that opportunity from Venezuela to say, yeah, we're not going to let that happen quite yet. And instead, we're going to just continue showing what we do best. And everybody get out your drinks and popcorn, because we are going to the movie track, not Boo Cinema, but the 4-minute long Rainbow Road.
The ultimate reset ever since the update, in my opinion. The fact that this track is 4 minute long means that a lot of things can happen. Yes, it can kind of be dictated by whether triple shrooms are pulled here and whether players are able to get a run early. However, 2 shocks. There is always the possibility of 2 shocks just from how long this track is. There's also the possibility of no shocks. I've seen that a good bit, but usually you expect at least one in these Rainbow Road races, as these first 2 sets are going to be very indicative of what players are able to do. Splendy in 7th, he's aggressively pushing up with his shrooms. Don't blame him, to be honest. He probably has a good chance to pull at the next set if he is able to stay within the mid-pack. A couple of Venezuela players around him, though they don't seem to have anything too threatening. Splendy doing absolute God's work right now, just pushing into first. And there is 2 bombs, but triple reds from the Venezuela POV. That is so unfortunate. It looked like Venezuela was going to be able, Peru even was going to be able to do something, but unfortunately not able to. Splendy playing safe, going around. The bomb drill did look like it did something to the Venezuelan players. As Splendy now has 18 coins, a lot for this point in the race, but is probably not confidently holding on to first, because a lot of players, if they have the correct items, they're going to be able to go and take these 2 cuts coming up. One in the grass that Splendy just drove through, another that ramp in the off-road, which we do see Cosium take, opting to hold the Mega. Something tells me that Venezuela could have shock if he's opting not to take that cut and just go into first, losing a lot of spots. If they don't have it, then I want to know what Cosium's play is with this Mega.
Absolutely. And now, especially with the double dodge here, with the Mega and the Ghost in pocket, definitely a moment for Cosium to really push up to the front. Whether that is by being aggressive or not, entering into section 3, this long cannon section right here, long glider section, excuse me, we have a possible shock spot right here that we could see. Yeah, Cosium goes to use the Mega, maybe was planning on a potential dodge, just playing it safe here. Now having the Ghost here in 4, opportunity to use it later at a different shock spot if one is not in play. My gamble is that there's probably not one yet, but we will probably see one soon, based off of the fact that we haven't quite seen that shock yet. Ghost and Feather in 4 is an interesting pull here, Nat.
I don't know. I feel like Cosium could be in top 2 at the moment if he was able to use that Mega Ring cut. Obviously, he wouldn't have had the Ghost. Very lucky that he does have this. However, I feel like Cosium could be making a bit more of a play in protecting his teammate in first, and he does get trailed off on the glider. That Ghost is gone. Splendy in 3rd with triple nanas. Probably was Splendy nanas that did take Cosium off. Nothing much really to be done, though, about that. Cosium's kind of just now playing for good items, as Venezuela do take out one of the Peruvian players, but it is still, from the looks of it, 1-3. Feather in 2nd. Not really where you want a Feather on this track, as we're about to enter the final glider and the final part of the track, which is infamous for having this Nisk right here, which I think both players are going for. Actually, no. Venezuela player doesn't go for it. Splendy not getting the correct amount of height, I believe, to get himself over to the pole. and over. He could have been in first, however, yeah, he's pulled triple shrooms, coin shell, nothing great from him there, probably just holding on to that 10th place, as we do see Kosium aggressive with the start, it works out, however, getting squished on the glider, pretty much perfect trade, with those aggressive plays, back to back, Splendy somehow managing to end up ahead of Kosium by the end of that, fair play, but that is a huge race for Peru, top 2, 5, 6, 7, a lot of Venezuela occupying the bottom spots. And the war has gone down to only 10 points between the teams. Even with no shock, Rainbow Road is so powerful as a reset, as we've seen. Peru still down on the back foot. However, they've made up some ground, and it's now time to see whether they can take what this Rainbow Road race has given them and capitalize in maybe going ahead for the second time this war since race 1.
Yeah, the pendulum is continuing to swing back and forth, but now it's swinging a lot more into favor of Peru, showing that the last couple of races have honestly, like, we're going to capitalize even after Bowser's Castle didn't go exactly their way. We're now going to go to Salty here, which is Peru's pick. So now we're getting a couple of chances here for some continuing to increase those points and close that gap, maybe even start to take the lead here. Another track here where rolling triple shrooms early could be very, very beneficial here. I know of a number of players in this game that used to like to sit at this first set and hold those triple shrooms in the back, how beneficial that can be. But now, with that update, you get to see what you just saw in Kosium's POV, which is triple greens in 12. Let's go.
Great. Yeah, balanced items. Yeah, thank you, Nintendo. I'm joking, we love this game. However, Kosium reaping the rewards of the item set. He pulls triple greens first set, 4 shrooms this next set, which means he has the potential to take one of the many ways to do the ending cut. Is opting not to be aggressive. I like the play. Unfortunate line. However, a lot of his teammates next to him wasn't in a good enough position to get the rail, which is the fastest way of doing the shortcut. However, still has the shrooms. Only the one now, as he is aggressive to push up. But that's fine. Oh, but he makes the play with the Rang. Doesn't look like it connects. Ups to back at this time, even with the Peru players ahead of him. The triple greens, Splendy ahead of him with the triple reds. This is going to look... How is he alive? Okay, never mind. That's how he dies. Just gets bonked into a wall, and the Peru player backs him. Okay, that's just salt to the end. That's just salt to the wind. But I respect the play regardless. Splendy now in third. Bomb red. I think there was a Venezuelan player in first, however, looks like they messed up with Peru now in top 2, maybe barely top 3 if that Baby Peach was them and was holding the triple manners. Where did that shot come from? What just went down? Travis? Huh?
Yeah, that shot came out of nowhere, and it was a really interesting shock. It was kind of an abnormal location for this track. We normally see that shock here much later. Guessing that was probably a shock for Peru because of them being in top spots, but so far it's not looking like it paid off. As Venezuela up in front.
I'd say that was Venezuela shock. They were canceling top 2 from being able to take the top path, which is very beneficial as Peru is able to clutch up, carry up some of the items, and it's top 2. Again, for Venezuela. 3, 4, 5, 6 from Peru. It's still pretty good. Not the hugest race for either team. However, very good damage control from Venezuela. That shock being used really well to prevent top 2 from taking the top paths. A lot of the Venezuela players dodging, able to pull up their items like shrooms, like goldens, able to just capitalize on taking, either aggressively pushing up with them or saving them to take the final cuts, and that's how Venezuela was able to get that top 2. However, Peru doing well to hold on to that 3, 4, 5, 6. That could have ended much, much worse with the fact that that shock pretty much decimated the top 2.
In fact, what's really interesting is that 3-4-5-6 ended up being a gaining race for Peru, as the gap is actually closed a little bit. So what ends up being what should have been a good shock as a result of top two ends up still benefiting Peru in the long run. Here we are on Acorn Heights now, another track where getting maybe those triple shrooms really early here can allow for breakaways by taking the cut at the middle of the track every single lap. We're going to see what Splendy gets in those good old-fashioned triple green poles right out the gate. A couple of triple shrooms from Peru teammates up here in the front, using a star up in first as well for Peru. Let's go.
I completely get it. I absolutely get it. This track, whilst it is beneficial to have shrooms on it, this massive ending cut here has several ways that you can do it, several ways that you can perform it shroomless as well. So if you are able to just get into those front spots and are able to kill out the enemy team early, you are working yourself wonders. However, Splendy not being able to do so with the triple greens, unfortunately getting tripped out by the triple nanas, is going to fall back and probably beg to try and go for the shock, as we do see Cosium now up here with a golden in third place. Blue shell out from Venezuela, going to hit the Peru player in first. And that's, yeah, no, wasn't able to defend himself from it. Falls off the track. Cosium with lethal items, golden and triple reds in first. If they're able just to golden up here, no shenanigans that happen, they're pretty much going to be holding on to first for the rest of the race. But we do see shock in Venezuela's hands right now. Splendy is holding it. Where they're going to use it, they chain it into the set, makes sense. Trying to make sure that Venezuela isn't able to take the rails to develop any sort of lead is good. And Splendy pretty much all the way from last to second place just from that shock, being able to use his golden to skip a little bit of the vine section. Venezuela trailing behind now in the back, as we do see Peru at least in top two, maybe even a little bit more. But Splendy's got to be careful with his greens. If his teammates do catch up to him and they don't space well, this could end horrifically.
Absolutely, and Venezuela right now, actually quite a bit of them in the back. This could be problematic for them. Any kind of catch up here at the ending is going to be a major salvage. It is an obvious top three, maybe top four. Another unfortunate ending there for Cosium. This is going to be a tough race for Venezuela by quite a margin. They may have salvaged some top spots. No, it's going to be a top 3, 6, 8. That is going to put Peru back into the lead. And now the lead changes again, 415 to 405. It's getting late, but Peru is holding on after being down quite a bit just a few races ago, Nat.
Very good shock from Peru. Was able to be the beneficial factor in them holding a lot of top spots. However, we've seen Venezuela. They've persevered throughout this entire match. They have held onto a lead for so long. I don't think these players are deteriorated by the fact that they are down by 10 with 2 races left. We've seen some of the breakaways that Venezuela has been able to cause with just 2 races if things go their way. However, these last 2 track picks and how they affect each team are going to be monumental in how this war plays out, as we do see Warrior Stadium coming from Peru. And an interesting track for top 3, as there is some driving tech that you can do at the start. However, it's known to be in one of the bumpiest sections of the game with how narrow the track is. So how top 3 is going to space so that way they can capitalize on being able to make a break will be seen. Whether any of the Peru players will go down for shrooms to try and hold for the ending cut will also be seen, as it looks second is just opting to go around 1-3 from Peru, taking the cut. Absolutely agree with that. It means that they're able to get some form of front run going. Splendy going to do his best to hold onto first, go for the double, pulls himself triple shrooms nanas, means that he does have the Venezuela player behind him though. We're going to see how he plays. On Vela, just opts to keep the shrooms. Really awkward draft means that he's not able to get the charge jump and take the ramp in the fastest way that you can, and he's gonna end up losing a good bit of time to the Venezuelan player. Except the Venezuelan player is like, no, Splendy, my bad, man. You can go into first, my bad. I'll take a nana for you as well. As Splendy is now back in. I genuinely don't know what happened there. I don't know how Splendy is back in first, because that head bounce was awful for him. But hey, it worked out. However, it's not looking too great for Peru, other than Splendy being in first, as Venezuela does seem to be occupying a lot of the mid spots at the moment. Kosi with some interesting items, maybe able to grief with the horn after he takes the cut here. However, first is gone. It's going to be a case of whether Venezuela is able to pull shock to try and catch up to first, or whether Venezuela, Peru even, is going to pull shock and able to keep first lead and give him a bit more support up there. But even if the shock doesn't happen, it's currently looking good for Venezuela.
Absolutely. Venezuela right now occupying 2, 3, 4. A lot of players in the back.
Oh, the
there's
nanas!
stuff on the Valor cut. That is going to be very difficult for Splendy to catch back up from. That's going to give Venezuela up into top 2. The Shroom is helpful, but instead the hammers are in the way. What a crazy ending on this race. It is a top 2 for Venezuela. Unfortunately, that Valor cut being trapped and ended up hurting Splendy's chances for first. 3-4 is a good salvage, but that is not the race that they were hoping for, because having first would have been a lot more beneficial. Venezuela 452 to 450. It is a close match, Nat, and it's going to come down to the final race.
I mean, it comes down also to the fact that Venezuela was just also able to communicate beautifully that maybe one of their players trapped the Valor for lap 3 for Splendy just to run into those nanas, and it paid off effectively, able to clear the way for the Valor so people can take the cut behind him. But this war is going down to the final race. That as much as Venezuela is in the spots at the moment, we have seen Peru come back. However, Peru has only really came back on tracks that they have picked themselves. So Peru's gonna really hope that they're able to get this track pick, as it's a whole lot of tracks. It's a whole lot of tracks, whole lot of faraway oasis, good bit of airship fortress. We're going to the rogue Dino jungle pick. I couldn't tell you who picked this, because the meta on this track before, another conga line situation before the item update, pull your triple shrimp star, run it up, see if you can dodge. However, if played aggressively with your shrooms correctly, this can actually be a pretty disgusting frontrunner if Venezuela capitalizes on being able to pull any sort of speed items from the start.
Absolutely, and it kind of is fitting that this is the track that this ends on, as a lot of close wars oftentimes feel like they end up on tracks like this one here too, where you're going to have a lot of variables, and we don't really know how this is going to exactly end up. Going for the cut early here, Splendy heading up to the front right next to their teammate. Looks like a couple of them are 2, 3, 4 right now, trying to red out first, get up there in the front here, have an opportunity to maybe front run this track, get that chance to possibly turn the tide and make it go into their favor. The hammers though knocking Splendy out of 1. Still looking like top spots here for Peru. It looks like Venezuela actually has taken that back over. The slow horn getting Splendy out there. Now having to go around and take the
Venezuela making all the correct aggressive plays at the moment. They pretty much took what Peru had and has taken it back for themselves. They now are at least 2, 3, 4, 6. Cosium holding a star. Really good position to be in with this as well. Burning the star early though to get the triple reds out, it does make sense. You do need to make sure this Peru player doesn't have any sort of shrooms to take the cut with and pull shrooms for themselves. the Peru player in the front does get taken out. It's a lot of Peru still in the front at the moment. No shock to be seen, which was probably going to be Peru's gambit. I know I've been confusing Venezuela and Peru, but this ending, it's really close. I think Peru's managed to hold on to first, but we don't know whether that's going to be enough for them to hold the win.
Top 2 from Peru, 3-6. It's really close. It's a tie. It's a tie.
That, you don't see that every day. Peru barely being able to hold on, the top 2 doing enough for them. However, Venezuela, the 3, 4, 5, 6, able to just keep them in with the chance of being the top team to go through to I forget which group they will be going through to in the next round, because you can pretty much imagine Peru is through with a 2-1 2-1-0 record, 2 wins, 1 draw, and no losses. It's going to be a case to see whether Venezuela is able to get a win versus Gran Colombia. That's so ridiculously tight though for them in the top spots. That is absolutely crazy. It'll come.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you first. No, you first.
If they end up having the same record, and in the end, it will ultimately come down to plus minus, is what we've just been informed. And right now, Peru finishing having two wins, 1 draw, and 0 losses with a plus minus of 198. Venezuela, of course, we're going to see their next match here shortly. 1 win, 1 draw, and their plus minus is 132, by the way. So it'll be interesting to see how this will all end up in the end here. Currently in Group W, we're about to see Venezuela versus Gran Colombia, and it will be interesting to see how Venezuela tackles that team, and if that's going to give them the momentum that they need in order to become the top team out of Group W.
I mean, Peru has done all they can for the time being. That all eyes are on Venezuela at the moment. I do quickly want to go and find the table that Peru played earlier, so we do get a good understanding of how much Venezuela need to win this Gran Colombia World by. They won by 106, which means that Peru's plus minus is 196 at the moment. Venezuela's differential is a 132, which means that Venezuela need to win this war by 66 points or more for them to take the top spot and go into the group with South Korea, Mexico, and whoever is the second seed from Z2. Regardless, both teams definitely making it through. It's just going to be a case of whether they go into the Group 1 of the group stage with South Korea and Mexico, or whether they go into Group 4 with Asia and Chile. So, a lot on the line for Venezuela at the moment. But what a match that we just had.
Absolutely, and in my whole time of casting that, I don't think I've actually casted a tie. It's insane how close these matches can be, and honestly, major props to both teams for sticking in with the number of lead changes that happened throughout this, especially for Peru, who was down by quite a margin. We almost thought for a bit like they don't catch up. If they didn't catch up when they did, it was almost certainly going to be a loss for them, and instead they make the right directional shifts and ultimately ending up to push this back into their favor, eventually taking the lead at one point. Incredible match from the 2026 World Cup for Mario Kart World, Nat.
Yeah, absolutely. However, don't go anywhere. The stream is going to go down for a small moment of time. However, you'll be joined back by Travis. You'll be joined back by Mitch. They are both going to be commentating the upcoming match in about 5 minutes time. Venezuela versus Ecuador, or Gran Colombia, sorry. All eyes on Venezuela. Whether they're able to get that win by 66 points or more is yet to be seen. Whether Gran Colombia can cause a crazy upset and prevent them from getting the first spot, or maybe getting their first win in the tournament, is yet to be seen. But thank you guys again for watching this absolute nail-biter of a match.
From all of us here at Mario Kart Central, as well as my co-caster Nat, our wonderful stream host Astro, my name is Travis S1. We'll see you in a bit. Have a good one.